Morning light hit the glass like a quiet dare, and I realized 3 days had passed without a single moment that felt ordinary. I stood at the east suite window watching gardeners comb precision lines into the gravel while Rosa folded Emma's clothes into the dresser with the same brisk tenderness she used on my nerves. "Are you certain about this?" she asked, silver-streaked hair tucked into its battle-ready bun. "No," I said, turning from the view that looked like safety pretending to be a painting. "But I'm certain about keeping Emma safe, and for now that means staying." Rosa nodded without pausing, the drawer sliding shut with a soft verdict. Movers would arrive this afternoon with the last artifacts of our old life: Emma's bookshelf, my paperbacks, the second-hand couch I'd once been proud to buy, things that didn't match the mansion's palette but did match our history. "Choose a room for your things," he'd said, an unexpected kindness from a man who could order a city to hold its breath. "Mommy, look what I made." Emma barreled in, curls wild, clutching a drawing of 4 stick figures. Rosa, me, a very tall man with suspiciously blue eyes, and a small girl wearing a crown labeled EMMA. "We're a family now," she announced, certain in a way only children and kings can be. I managed a smile that felt both too big and too fragile. After she skipped out for lunch, the weight of her certainty pressed on my ribs. I found him in his study, sleeves rolled, reading glasses on the desk like evidence that he was sometimes human. "Emma mentioned swimming lessons," I said, no preamble. A flicker of amusement at the corners of his mouth. "Every child should know how to swim. You should have asked me first." "You're right," he said simply. "I apologize. It won't happen again." The ease of his concession unsettled me more than a fight would have. "I need to know about Mike." The air changed temperature. He poured water, handed me a glass that felt heavier than it should. "Alive," he said. "Persuaded. He gave us the names, the contacts, the paths. He's being held until we verify. After that, he disappears, far away with conditions." My fingers tightened around the glass. "He won't come looking for Emma?" "No, final." Reassuring, terrifying. "How do you make decisions like that?" I asked. "Not easily," he said. "Necessarily. Every choice has consequences, including yours to stay." "Then why offer me the choice?" For a second I saw past the legend to the man who'd built it. "Because loyalty and trust are rarer than diamonds. In a day, you showed more of both than people I've known for decades." "I betrayed Mike," I said automatically. "You protected your daughter," he corrected. Before I could answer, a rap on the door snapped the room back to business. Anton slipped in, voice low, face carved from worry. "Sir, there's a situation that requires your attention." The apology in his eyes said enough. He glanced at me, already calculating how to move me and Emma where bullets were only math problems. "We'll continue later," Alizio told me, but later suddenly felt like a luxury the morning might not allow. "You said," CHPTR2 ChatGPT said. The movers arrived just after lunch, their footsteps echoing in the hall like reminders of the life I'd left behind. Emma was in the garden chasing butterflies while Rosa supervised the placement of furniture that didn't belong in rooms this grand. The sight of my old coffee table under a chandelier worth more than my entire apartment made my stomach twist. When the last box was gone, I found a fragile kind of calm, until I saw him standing at the end of the hall. "Everything arrived?" he asked. I nodded. "You didn't have to send for all of it. I wanted you to feel at home." The way he said it, simple and unguarded, disarmed me. This man who could end lives with a gesture was learning the language of gentleness, one small kindness at a time. That night, after Emma fell asleep, I wandered into the mansion's library. It was all amber light and quiet, a world built for secrets and reflection. I was running my fingers along the spines of books when his voice startled me. "Couldn't sleep?" he asked from the doorway, tie loosened, sleeves rolled, humanity showing through the cracks of command. "Just exploring," I said. "This room feels alive." "It was my mother's favorite place," he replied, moving toward a cabinet that held a bar instead of books. Water or something stronger? Water. He poured and handed me a glass, then sank into one of the armchairs opposite mine. The situation from earlier resolved, he said. You didn't ask, but you were wondering. I smiled faintly. You're observant. It's my business to be. For a moment, silence stretched between us, heavy with the unsaid. If we're going to make this work, he continued, we need boundaries. I took a breath. I was thinking the same thing. I need a purpose here. I have a degree in accounting. Before Emma, I worked at a firm. His eyebrows lifted. You want to work for me? With you, I corrected. I can't just exist here. He studied me for a long moment. My legitimate businesses could use your skills. The restaurant group, maybe the real estate holdings. Legitimate being the key word. Of course, he said softly. There are lines once crossed that change a person. I'd prefer you stay on this side. The intensity in his voice made my heart trip. We should discuss compensation, I said, needing air, needing normal. Contracts tomorrow, he promised, standing. It's late. At the door he hesitated, his expression softer than I'd ever seen it. My mother would have liked you. When he left, the library seemed larger and quieter, filled with ghosts of choices. I sat there for a long time, listening to the mansion's heart beating in distant footsteps, realizing that the man I'd begun to fear might also be the man I was beginning to understand, and that terrified me most of all. 2 weeks later, our lives had settled into a rhythm that almost felt like peace. Each morning, I dropped Emma at her new preschool, watching her skip through the gate without hesitation, her curls bouncing like punctuation marks of joy. Then I drove downtown to Castelli Ventures, the gleaming heart of his empire, where my job managing finances for the restaurant group filled the hours between breakfast and dusk. At night, I returned to the mansion, a fortress disguised as paradise, where Emma's laughter erased the tension from the day. I was beginning to believe we could make this work until Vincent Russo appeared in my doorway, all quiet authority and unreadable eyes. Mr. Castelli asked me to remind you about tonight's dinner, he said. The Biancs will arrive at 7. My stomach tightened. Important associates, Rosa had called them. Allies who needed reassurance that the world of Castelli remained solid. Thank you, Vincent, I said. He nodded but didn't leave. There's been unusual activity around Emma's school. Likely nothing, but security's been doubled. I'll drive you myself. I froze. Is it Mike? We're investigating, he replied, tone neutral, and left me with the sound of my heart pounding. Dinner that night was a performance in a glass palace. Rosa zipped me into a midnight blue dress that felt like armor, whispering, "Perception is reality. Follow his lead." Downstairs, Alizio was waiting, devastating in a tailored black suit, every inch the man the world feared. His gaze softened when he saw me. "You look beautiful," he said simply. "You should have told me about the zoo plans," I teased, trying to keep my voice steady. "Sunday tradition," he said with a faint smile. "She deserves something to look forward to." When the Biancs arrived, Lorenzo, a mountain of a man with eyes sharp as glass, and Gabriella, elegance wrapped in silk, I understood that this dinner wasn't social, it was a test. "So, Sophia," Lorenzo began over the first course, "Alicio tells us you're a financial wizard." "Hardly," I said lightly. "Just good with numbers." "Too modest," Alizio cut in. "She's already improved profits 15%. Gabriella's eyes narrowed in curiosity. "And how did you two meet?" A pause. He hadn't prepared me for that. He wanted to see if I could think on my feet. "A wrong number," I said truthfully. "I texted him by mistake." Lorenzo chuckled. "Fate favors the bold. Or the careless," I added, earning a rare grin from Alizio. The tension around the table eased, and conversation flowed again. By dessert, Gabriella had invited me to lunch, an unmistakable gesture of approval. After our guests left, Alizio poured 2 small glasses of Amaro in the study. "You handled that perfectly," he said. Lorenzo was impressed. He raised his glass slightly. "To your composure." I took a sip, warmth spreading through me. "Vincent mentioned a car near Emma's school," I said. His expression darkened instantly. "Petrov's men, we think. They're probing for weakness." My pulse quickened. "Are we safe?" "Yes," he said firmly. "I won't allow anyone to touch what's mine." His voice softened as he stepped closer, hand brushing mine. "What do you value most, Sophia?" "Emma's safety," I whispered. "And the truth, even when it hurts." "And connection?" he asked quietly. "Desire." I didn't answer. The question hung between us, charged as lightning. His fingers trailed up my arm, his breath brushing my cheek. "I've wanted to kiss you since that first night," he murmured. My heart leapt, reason crumbling beneath the gravity of him. "May I?" he asked. I didn't speak. I just closed the distance. The kiss began soft, testing, then deepened, fire meeting oxygen. When we finally pulled apart, breathless, I saw something in his eyes I hadn't expected. Vulnerability. "This complicates things," I whispered. "Life's already complicated," he said with a faint, rueful smile. "The question is, what's worth the complication?" That night, lying awake, I knew the answer was both everything and nothing I'd planned. "You said," CHPTR4 ChatGPT said. The next morning began like a dream pretending to be normal. Emma bounded onto my bed clutching Mr. Flopsy, chirping, "Zoo day!" and the world briefly felt simple again. Downstairs, Alizio was already at the table, reading the paper as if the kiss we'd shared hadn't shifted gravity. He glanced up, his expression softer than I'd ever seen. "Morning," he said. I cleared the day for us. Over coffee and Emma's non-stop chatter about penguins and tigers, something inside me eased, the illusion of a family, fragile but radiant. At the zoo, he looked almost ordinary in jeans and a casual shirt, except for the invisible orbit of security that trailed us. Emma pressed her nose to the glass watching penguins dart like bullets through blue water. "How do you know so much about them?" I asked as he crouched beside her. "I read," he said, smiling faintly. "And I remember what matters to a 4-year-old. The answer hit me harder than expected. The man who once commanded fear was learning how to nurture. For one golden afternoon, we could have been any family. The illusion shattered the next morning when Vincent arrived at my office, eyes grim. "There's been an incident at the mansion," he said. "Everyone is fine, but Mr. Castelli requests your immediate return." My blood went cold. During the drive, his silence told me everything words couldn't. "2 intruders," he finally said. "Petrov's men. 1 alive." My stomach twisted. Emma. Safe. Completely unaware. When we arrived, the mansion was locked down, guards at every corner. I found Alizio in his study surrounded by screens and lieutenants, his composure stretched thin. He dismissed everyone the moment he saw me. "They targeted Emma's room," he said, voice controlled but burning underneath. "They thought taking her would force me to hand over Michael and the data." The words stole the air from my lungs. "They never got close," he added quickly. "But this ends tonight." I touched his arm. "Don't become someone she'd fear." His eyes softened for a heartbeat, then steeled again. "Some actions cost pieces of the soul, but they're still necessary." He kissed me once, fiercely, and was gone. He didn't return that night. Vincent came instead, face expressionless. "The situation is resolved," he said. "Mr. Castelli won't be home." I nodded, numb. Alone in the dark, I cried into the silence so Emma wouldn't hear, tears for what we'd escaped and what we were becoming. He came back the next evening looking immaculate except for the stiffness in his movements and the faint smell of smoke clinging to his coat. "It's done," he said simply. "Petrov's organization won't threaten anyone again." "You're hurt," I whispered. He unbuttoned his shirt, revealing a bandaged rib. A scratch. My throat tightened. You could have died. A necessary risk. Not to Emma. Not to me. He caught my trembling hand, kissed my palm. If you want to leave, I won't stop you. New identities, safety, everything I promised. His honesty broke something open inside me. I don't know what I want, I admitted. You make me feel safe, and that scares me. My world is both violence and tenderness, he said quietly. I can't separate them. Then give me time, I whispered. A month to see if this can work. He nodded. 1 month. If you still want to go, I'll make sure you disappear so well not even I could find you. That night, as Emma slept peacefully between her stuffed animals, I lay awake listening to the faint echo of his footsteps down the hall. The mansion was a fortress again, but for the first time since that mistaken text, I believed peace might be possible inside its walls. And somewhere in the tangle of fear, loyalty, and longing, I understood the truth. I was already in too deep, not trapped, but choosing to stay. The month that followed reshaped everything. The mansion, once a gilded cage, began to feel like the foundation of a future I hadn't dared to imagine. True to his word, Eliseo gave me freedom within the boundaries of his guarded world. Emma thrived. Playdates, swimming lessons, laughter echoing through marble halls that had once only heard silence. He was changing too. He joined her tea parties, read her favorite storybooks in his deep, accented voice, and even learned how to braid her hair, though his attempts made us both laugh until we cried. At night, when the house grew quiet, he and I would share dinners on the terrace. Sometimes we talked business, his transition plan toward legitimacy, which I was helping structure. Sometimes we said nothing, content in the stillness that existed only between people who trusted each other completely. 2 weeks into the trial, he called me to the terrace where candles flickered like quiet witnesses. I have something for you, he said, sliding a leather folder across the table. Inside were blueprints and projections, a 5-year plan to transition every facet of his empire into legitimate enterprises. You actually started it, I said, surprised by the depth of the work. Legal frameworks, restructuring strategies, even pension plans for those unwilling to change. It's already in motion, he said. I've realized survival depends on evolution. His eyes met mine, calm and certain. You inspired the timeline, but the choice is mine. The line between his world and mine began to blur. At night, we played chess in the library. Sometimes I won, which amused him endlessly. The kisses that followed grew longer, hungrier, but always stopped short of crossing a line we both understood. We were building something real, and real things took time. Then, one evening near the end of the month, I told him quietly, "If I asked you to walk away from all of it, would you?" He paused, gaze steady. "If that's what you truly needed, yes." The simplicity of it stole my breath. "Then I won't ask it," I said. "Because I'm staying." His control cracked for just a second, relief, joy, disbelief all flooding his face. He pulled me into his arms, whispering, "You understand what that means? The risks, the shadows?" "I understand," I said. "And I choose them with you." The kiss that followed erased every line we'd drawn. That night we stopped pretending distance was safety. We became partners in every sense, 2 lives braided together by choice, not accident. But the world doesn't stand still for happiness. 3 months later, trouble found its way back in a different form. Carlo, one of his oldest lieutenants, stormed into the study shouting that Eliseo was destroying everything his father had built. I froze outside the door, hearing Carlo spit, "You've gone soft. You're dismantling an empire for a woman and her child." Eliseo's voice stayed low, deadly calm. "Be very careful, Carlo. Loyalty gives you this one warning. There won't be another." Silence stretched, cold and absolute. Then Carlo's voice, quieter. "Others are talking. Then they can leave," Eliseo said. "With honor or without it." When Carlo stormed out, he saw me standing there. His glare could have cut glass. I waited until he was gone before entering. "This is because of me," I said. "No," Alizio replied. "It's because change always costs something. You and Emma just made me realize it's worth paying." He reached for my hand, rough palm warm against mine. "No second thoughts?" he asked. "None," I said. "We're building something better." His smile was small but real, a promise and a vow. That night, as Emma slept under the soft hum of the security system, I stood at the window watching lights ripple across the estate, the quiet kingdom of a man trying to become something more. We had a long road ahead, old loyalties to unravel, danger that would never fully disappear. But I wasn't afraid anymore. The wrong number that had started it all wasn't a mistake. It was destiny disguised as chaos. And now, for the first time, the future felt like something we were writing together.